My brother and I get into a car accident. I need emergency surgery. But my mother, the hospital director, calls every available doctor to my brother's room. He only has a few scrapes, yet she orders a full body scan for him while I lie there bleeding out. I beg her to help me, but she snaps, visibly annoyed. Can't you stop fighting for attention for once? Your brother almost injured a bone. In the end, I die on the operating table. But after the news of my death breaks, my mother, who has always hated me, completely loses her mind. In the final 3 minutes of my life, my soul drifted to my mother's side. She was sitting beside my younger brother Felix Goodman's hospital bed, her face filled with worry as she prayed, "Felix, please don't scare me like this. Wake up, okay?" My father stood nearby, his face twisted in fury. If Sean had done his job and protected him, Felix wouldn't be in this state. Just wait. I'm going to beat him to death. I stood and watched at the side, bitterness rising in my chest. Dad, there's no need for that. I'm almost dead. Not that you guys would care. At that moment, the doctors were gathered around Felix's bed in a circle. After confirming that his injuries were only scrapes and nothing major, one of the older doctors finally dared to bring me up. He asked cautiously, "Miss Blanchard, are you sure we shouldn't check on Sean? His injuries from the car crash seem very serious." Mom's gentle expression instantly turned into one of disgust as she roared, "What's he trying to pull now? Playing dead? Doesn't he realize what he's done to his brother?" I stared at her, stunned. Though my heart had already stopped, it still somehow throbbed with pain. I was their son too. Did they really not care about me at all? Suddenly, Mom picked up her phone and dialed my number. A nurse brought the phone to my ear, and instead of hearing the concern I had hoped for, all I heard was contempt. "Sean Goodman, when are you going to crawl out of bed and apologize to your brother?" My heart instantly turned cold as whatever hope I had left withered away. Of course, she never cared about me. Come to think of it, when I was first brought into the hospital, I had begged Mom to save me. But all she said was, "Do you have to fight for attention even at a time like this? Don't you realize that your brother nearly broke a bone?" Then she turned and walked away without a second glance, taking the entire medical team with her to tend to Felix. How could she have the capacity to love me? The nurse, unable to bear it any longer, took the phone and said, "Miss Blanchard, Sean can't hang on much longer." But Mom, still convinced that I was faking it, let out a mocking laugh. "How much did that brat pay you to act along with him? I can't believe he's capable of something like this." Just as she finished speaking, Felix, who had been acting unconscious the whole time, finally woke up. He faked a weak voice and asked, "Mom, Dad, how's Sean?" As Mom looked at the obedient, considerate Felix lying on the bed, her expression twisted into even deeper contempt. "Sean, why can't you be more like your brother? He's hurt because of you, and yet he's still worried about you. If you don't get here in the next 3 minutes to apologize, don't bother ever showing your face to me again." She then hung up, her chest heaving with anger. Dad, standing beside her, looked clearly displeased. Why bother calling him? Isn't it enough that he nearly got Felix killed? Felix lowered his head, trying to hide the smug look in his eyes. He put on a guilty expression before looking up at them. "Mom, Dad, don't be mad at him. Sean has just never forgiven me for getting the overseas scholarship instead of him. I understand why he hates me." I couldn't help but laugh. Even in my death, Felix was still trying to sow discord between me and my parents. However, my parents would never see through him. In their eyes, he would always be the better son, and they would never think about the true reason to the car accident. Just as expected, Mom's face immediately turned cold. "What's the point of sending someone that selfish to study abroad? Who knows how twisted he'd become after being abroad?" Felix gently said, "Mom, don't be angry. I'm sure Sean has his reasons." Mom's expression immediately softened. "Felix, you're too kind. That's why Sean keeps taking advantage of you." That was always Felix's strength, knowing exactly what to say to win our parents' hearts. I knew that even if I stood right in front of them and told them all of Felix's cruel behavior over the years, they'd only slap me across the face and accuse me of making things up, saying that I was just jealous of him. After all these years, I had gotten used to it. In the middle of their conversation, my older sister, Ashley Goodman, burst into the room. Her footsteps were hurried as she anxiously rushed to check on Felix. The moment she heard about the accident, she immediately flew in from another state without a second thought. And just like my parents, she only cared about Felix. Once she confirmed he was okay, Ashley let out a sigh of relief before fuming. "I've always said that Sean is a curse to our family. Ever since Felix was born, he's been hurting him again and again." Felix took the opportunity to act pitiful. "Don't be angry, Ash. I'm sure Sean didn't mean to hurt me." The whole family burst into an uproar upon hearing this. Dad slammed the table. "What? He actually caused the car accident to hurt you?" Mom clenched her teeth. "That bastard. I'll make him pay." The look in Ashley's eyes was venomous, as if she wished she could rip me into pieces. Felix flinched, as though he realized things had gone too far and they might start questioning the story. He hurriedly said to them, "Please don't be mad at Sean, okay? Maybe I remembered it wrong. No matter what, he's still my brother. He wouldn't do something like that." Ashley gently tapped his forehead. "You're just too naive. You have no idea how evil some people can be." At this point, Mom chimed in, "It's truly a blessing to have a son like you. All right, I'll listen to you. Let's forget about that ungrateful brat and focus on getting you well again." The warm golden light of the setting sun spilled across Felix's hospital bed. Watching the four of them together, a happy, united family, I felt an indescribable ache in my chest. In that moment, I realized how out of place my soul truly was. It was as if I wasn't one of them at all, like I was just a stray dog that wandered into their home. I wanted to leave, but my spirit was bound tightly to Mom's side. I couldn't speak. I could only watch and endure their contempt in silence. A few days later, under the family's meticulous care, Felix was discharged from the hospital. Mom was busy packing his things, while Dad had already parked the car right outside the hospital door, afraid Felix might have to walk even a single extra step, and Ashley wouldn't even let him put on his shoes by himself. On the way home, Mom muttered irritably, "Sean is really something else. He didn't even visit his brother at the hospital even once, let alone apologize. I'm going to teach him a lesson once we get home." Dad glanced at Mom and said coldly, "I told you keeping him at home was asking for trouble. Sooner or later, something bad was bound to happen." Hearing the words, teach him a lesson left me feeling a complicated mix of emotions. Long-buried memories came flooding back into my mind. Since I was young, Mom had always favored Felix. I was expected to always give in to him. It was all because on the day Felix was born, I had accidentally spilled water, causing Mom to slip and go into premature labor. The sight of him lying in the incubator broke my entire family's hearts. Dad had smacked me so hard that my eardrum burst. "You're a jinx. Your brother nearly died on the day he was born because of you." Lying weakly in the hospital bed, Mom had looked at me with eyes full of disappointment. Then, in elementary school, Dad had beaten me so badly that I couldn't get out of bed for 3 days, just because I fought with Felix over a toy car. It was my favorite toy. Even though it had come as a freebie along with the gift Dad bought for Felix during a business trip, it had become my most cherished possession. But Felix, who already had boxes full of toy cars, insisted on fighting me for that one. In the tug of war, he suddenly screamed and burst into tears. Mom rushed over, distressed, and hugged him while crying and yelling at me, "Sean Goodman, your brother has already suffered so much because of you. What more do you want from him?" It wasn't me. Before I could even explain, Felix squeezed out a few tears and said, "Mom, don't be angry. It was my fault. I shouldn't have made trouble by fighting with Sean over a toy." When Dad got home and saw that scene, he immediately pulled me aside and started beating me. "A cold-hearted kid like you doesn't deserve to stay in this house. Keeping you here is just waiting for a disaster to happen." I cried and begged him to stop. But the more I cried, the more convinced Dad was that I was faking it, and the harder he hit. Mom and Ashley just stood at a distance, watching coldly. It was as if I was their enemy, and they wouldn't be satisfied until Dad beat me to death. From that day on, whenever I made Felix cry, it would mean receiving scoldings or beatings from my parents. Eventually, I stopped fighting Felix for their love, stopped trying to explain, and stopped trying to get close. And now they left me cold and lifeless on the operating table. As soon as they got home, Felix flopped onto the couch. The moment he said he was hungry, Ashley eagerly went into the kitchen, excited to show off her newfound cooking skills. Normally too delicate to cook, she was now scrolling through her phone for nutritious meal plans, afraid of causing Felix to have an upset stomach. Dad presented him with the latest luxury gaming console, saying it was a welcome home gift to celebrate his cheating death. Mom had already cleaned Felix's room thoroughly and filled it with air-purifying plants, saying that fresh air was good for his recovery. Felix simply lounged on the couch and played games. Yet, that was enough to tug at the heartstrings of the entire family. Meanwhile, my soul was trailing quietly behind them. This house, once so familiar, now felt ice cold. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Standing at the door was someone I knew all too well, my girlfriend Caitlin Winter. She stepped inside and immediately fussed over Felix's condition. "Mr. and Mrs. Goodman, I heard Felix was discharged today. I brought some supplements for him." Felix instantly dropped the game controller, putting on a shy smile. "Caitlin, you didn't have to. I'm already feeling much better." Caitlin flashed him a sweet smile. Usually cold and aloof with me, she was now gentle and caring with Felix. I watched her, an unfamiliar feeling rising in my chest. Suddenly she asked, "Where's Sean?" If she hadn't brought me up, I doubt anyone would have even remembered I existed. When my name was mentioned, Mom's face darkened. "Why are you bringing up that ungrateful brat? After I scolded him the other day, he didn't even bother coming home. It's just as well. Since he likes staying out so much, he can stay away forever. The house feels peaceful without him causing trouble every day." Caitlin quickly nodded. "It's better if he doesn't come back. We don't want him disturbing Felix's rest." Ashley walked out holding some supplements and said playfully, "So, have you decided when to break up with Sean? If you don't move fast, someone else might snatch Felix away." Caitlin lowered her head shyly. "I was actually planning to talk to Felix about it today." A stinging sensation welled up in my throat. I let out a self-mocking laugh and turned away, not wanting to watch any longer. I had long grown used to the feeling of being unloved anyway. After dinner, Mom grew irritable for some reason. She returned to her room alone and began searching through her phone. I walked over to look. She was looking for my number, calling it again and again, but of course there was no answer. Eventually, she slammed her phone down in frustration. "You won't even answer my calls now? Do you think anyone actually cares about you?" I wanted to tell her, "I'm dead. There's no way for me to answer your call." But then she called the nurse from the hospital. "Did Sean tell you what kind of stunt he's trying to pull? Tell him to stop being so shameless and come back to apologize to his brother. Then maybe I'll consider letting him come home." There was a brief silence on the other end before the reply came. "Ms. Blanchard, Sean passed away a week ago. His heart was ruptured in the car accident, but you had called all the doctors to Felix's room, so there was no one left to operate on him." How to read part 2. Type the lower left corner of the video. Download it. Search my code to follow.